Hi guys, today we're talking about what is an appraisal. We're going to talk about what it is, why do we have one, when you should have one, and what it isn't. Let's get started. So first off, what is an appraisal? An appraisal is an opinion of value of what a typical buyer would pay for the item. In this case, probably you're going to be your home. It's someone who has had a lot of education, called an appraiser, that comes out and looks at the property. And they look at, most agents will say they sell 15 homes in a year. An appraiser will do 15 home valuations in a week. So they really know the market, which gives them a special skill set to be able to come in and tell you what your house is worth. They also go to lots and lots of training on just valuing, how much does a pool value add to here or not, and that kind of thing. So that's what an appraisal is, but let's talk about why do you have one. First and foremost, if you're buying a house and you're getting a loan, you don't get a choice. Your appraiser is going to be required by the lender because it gives them the satisfaction that what is being paid is an appropriate price. So it kind of gives them some warm fuzzies, is the unofficial term in the biz, that they're not giving a bad loan or giving you a loan for too much and that kind of stuff. So if you're getting a loan, you don't get a choice. Now, if you're not getting a loan, you have the option. You don't have to have an appraisal done if you're paying cash. Some people choose not to. They said, the house is worth what I'm willing to pay for it. I don't care what other people say. Your real estate agent should at least suggest that you consider it and say, I know you're paying cash, but let's at least make sure that you're getting the value that you are paying. But a lot of people talk about, I'm getting ready to sell my house. I want to have an appraisal done. The problem with doing it before you sell your house is that it doesn't mean anything. It has no value because the buyer can't use your appraisal. That's something that they have to have ordered from their lender. So essentially you're kind of throwing good money after bad. The other problem too is if you have a value that you and your real estate agent have sat down and agreed upon, an appraisal could come in over that, and then the market may not actually bear that thing. So generally speaking, you don't do one before you sell your house. The other question that I often get from buyers is, should I have one before I make an offer? At that point, you and I are going to sit down, or you and your real estate agent are going to sit down, and we're going to look at the recent transactions and say, okay, here's what we think this is worth. Here's what we're going to offer, and here's why. And generally speaking, we should expect that appraisal to back that up. It's not worth you spending, it's almost $500 roughly to start with for an appraisal. So that's $500 every time you want to make an offer. And the nice thing is, if it doesn't come in at market value, so you make an offer for $500,000 and the appraisal's for $480,000, then you have options, but definitely not worth doing before you go under contract, especially because even if you did, you'd still have to have your lender order one for you using the appraiser that they have chosen. So you're still throwing good money after bad. What isn't an appraisal? It's not the actual value of the house. You may agree to pay more. If it's the perfect house, and in the example we said, it only comes in at $480, you might come up with the extra $20,000 because it's the perfect house for your family. To you, it's worth paying the extra money. You're going to be overpaying, but if you know that going in, nothing wrong with that. Conversely, it might come in at over what you offered. So you offered $500,000 and it comes in and it's actually worth $530,000. You don't have to bump up. Your seller doesn't get to come back and be like, hey, it's actually worth $530, so you owe me money. No, you guys agreed upon a price. It was a fair price. It just happens to be worth a little bit more than they were willing to pay. So that's what an appraisal isn't. But at the end of the day, it's just a great way to ensure that the transaction is kept under control. People can run the prices up or totally jack the prices up and expect everything. But if the market's not willing to bear it, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Because the biggest thing that I'm going to say is you as a seller set the asking price. The buyer ultimately sets the selling price. So it's kind of a collaborative effort, and then the appraiser kind of just comes in and blesses it, for lack of a better term. So that's all about an appraisal. If you have any questions or are looking to buy or sell a house here in the Phoenix metro area, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to hear your opinions on the last house that you bought, about how the appraisal went, and we'll talk to you soon.